So just a brief thought on faith, the problem with faith, right? It's not that faith is the problem, I think we are the problem. But somebody in my life, he can't get his shit together, and he's absolutely to blame. He's absolutely at fault. It's actually my previous landlord. He's absolutely at fault. He doesn't want to take responsibility for so many things in his life, and he promises things that he can't fulfill, and he blames everybody else and everything else in his life. I mean, I'm somewhat friendly with him. Anyway, so here's a guy that, I just wished a happy new year, and, he still owes me the deposit money. And let's have faith that 2021 would be a better year. And he says, yes, faith is all that we can depend on. And I thought, exactly, you're hoping that the external circumstances are going to be favorable to you and support you without you doing any action. This is the problem with faith, right? That, like, if I have faith that things are going to turn out okay, then that's all I need to do. Is that I don't actually have to apply myself. I actually don't even have to have faith in myself. This is the problem with faith, is that we make it something external. We take it out of our control, out of our responsibility. It's the idea, that Jesus saves you for your sins in that way. It's like all you got to do is accept Jesus as your Savior, and that's all you need to do. I mean, I don't think that's all you need to do, but some people, the spiritual bypassing or the religious bypassing, that's what they do, because the Bible is full of, ideas such as do unto others as you would do unto yourself, right? So it's contradictory, but like a lot of the hardcore people, I especially see on forums, on YouTube videos and things like that, where they talk about, just accept Jesus as your Savior, man, and all is good, all is wonderful. But a lot of these channels are also actually shills, right? Like, who was that guy, Nicholas something or other, 1964 Nicholas. A lot of them. I mean, the Vigilant Christian was another one. I'm sure he's still around. There were a dime a dozen. Enter the Stars is another one. They'll tell you such truth, whatever it is, but just accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And so that's it. So that's how the shills or the COINTELPRO have used the religion, or like to catch people, because to make them, they lay you out all this like doom and gloom stuff, right? And how we're being screwed and whatever it is. And then at the end, another one is Round Saturn's Eye. I haven't seen him around. I'm sure he's still around though. A lot of these guys. And, at the very end, so it was like, doom and gloom, no solution, no playing practical in yourself. Don't, whatever, this is just this is just a fight that you can't win. But don't worry, just trust that Jesus is your Lord and Savior, and if you give him all your energy and all your focus, then don't worry, he will save the day, type of thing. Q also kind of represents that in that sort of way. Anyway, so this is the problem with faith, is that, like, I put it out there, like, we put the power in other people's hands. We go to the doctor, we put the faith in the doctor, to save us in that way, and sometimes it's necessary, but I mean, we put all the support, we don't think for ourselves, we just trust. The doctor says, well, just, the psychiatrist says, well, just up your dose and just do this, and just, okay, well, we have to trust him. Well, you need the surgery, whatever it is. And so, okay, we just trust them, we just have faith in them. We have faith in the government. This is the biggest problem, I mean, on the planet at the moment, is that we've put the faith outside of ourselves, right? We become dependent on outside of ourselves, for people to tell us what to do or to save our souls from every angle. It's faith. It's faith that if you get married at the age of 22, just after you finish university and you've finished your degree and you've met the girl of your dreams or the man of your dreams, and you have faith that you marry each other on that premise, that you love each other and that you're soulmates and that you're going to spend the rest of your life together. You have faith, although 50% of marriages end in divorce. And in my life, I know one marriage that is healthy, right? One marriage. And so the signs are all there. But we believe that if we do the right thing, right, and we have the good intentions, right, which is part of it, is good intentions, that it will all work out okay. It will all be okay. You know, that like it's a good thing for me to want to bring a child into the world, right? To give opportunity of life into this world. It's a good thing. So that's my intentions of why also people want to have children, you know, or whatever it is. It's like, well, that's not a good enough reason. Like, you're not thinking about your responsibility here. You know, you just have faith that on that premise, I'm doing the right thing. I just have faith that after school, I'm going to choose a career that is going to be suitable to my personality. It's going to fulfill me and bring meaning to, you know, to me for the rest of my life. And I'm going to invest every bit of money that I don't even have into getting that degree. I just have faith that if I do that, that it'll all work out okay. I'll just have faith that if I, you know, eat junk foods and binge television, that my health will be okay. I just have faith, I just have trust that, you know, that it will all work out in the end. You know, that it will just, because also like movies are like that, no matter how bad the situation is, you know, 99% of movies always work out, and then don't worry, it'll work out in the end, you know, type of thing. I just have faith. I just have faith that no matter how I live my life, that when I get to the other side, that I will, you know, be in the good place. You know, that I'll enter heaven, or whatever it is. I have faith that I'm a good person. Like I spoke about this earlier on in another conversation. You know, where people think that they deceive themselves that they're actually good people, when they are not. When they are blindly led and they are enforcing their own personal agenda, wounds, pains, projecting it onto other people, right? For the best intentions of other people. We convince ourselves that we are saintly and not sinners. And that's what Alan Watts often used to speak about. He says, like, just have the courage to, you know, entertain the idea that you could be more of a rascal than you could possibly imagine. And I like that, you know. But again, we've suppressed the shadow. We've suppressed the darkness within us, if you want to call it that, right? The destructive ways within us, the pain within us, the trauma within us, etc. And so all we're left with is just this, you know, beautiful shining diamond. You know, shine on you, crazy diamond, as I think the song goes. I think it's a Pink Floyd. I'm not sure. Anyways, so that's the idea that I wanted to say about faith and how problematic it is. Now, we can have faith that, you know, working with your best intentions, I have faith that I'm really doing the best that I can. You know, and I have faith that this will all have meaning, you know, and count for something. Like, I have faith because you know, I feel that, you know, you feel faith. Like, I feel, I mean, I don't know how it's terrible, because I really wanted to do a talk on the idea of, you know, somebody commented on my channel and saying, why would God, a benevolent force, put us in such a malevolent world? Like, it doesn't make sense. You know, and so we try to have faith that it's for our own growth, for our own development, right? For our own becoming. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity. You know, it's deadly serious. I mean, it's like, from what it feels on this level, I mean, you can try and rise above the duality, which is not really going to help, because the body is in duality. The body is instinctually wired into duality. So if there is a fear, if there is there is a threat to the body, you can't just analyze it and say, well, above the duality, this is not really a threat, right? Because it's just an expression of the one at the same time. It's very hard to rise above duality and live within this world, because, again, the duality is still impacting on you, physiologically, psychologically, subconsciously, without you even knowing about it. I mean, there's a lot to it. But anyways, just coming back, so that we have faith that that this does, that God didn't just put us here and keeps, like, I don't know, wiping our memory, and wiping all our efforts, and we're just starting again over and over again, like Groundhog Day. Imagine Groundhog Day never ended. What was the purpose, of Phil actually ever getting better? I mean, he had nothing else to do, and it was more fulfilling for himself. He was more happy with himself. Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray in the Groundhog Day. For those who don't know the movie, it's just a day that keeps on repeating no matter what. He's the only one that's aware that it's repeating the same day over and over again. And no matter what actions he performs on that day, even if he murders somebody, he murders himself the next day he wakes up to the song of Sonny and Cher, put your little hand in mine, there ain't no mountain or hill or mountain we can climb, babe, I've got you, babe. And he wakes up day in and day out. It doesn't matter. There's no consequences to his actions. And he, in the beginning, he just indulges and enjoys himself and, does whatever it is to pleasure himself. And then he realizes this is not happening, this is not working for him. So he starts to better himself and he starts to self-actualize and fulfill his potential in all different areas and make the most of his time. And eventually, I think maybe he just kind of accepts that it's just going to be the same day over and over again. But it doesn't matter, because as long as I'm getting better, as long as I'm evolving, as long as every day I can feel that there's a difference in my life, that I am my own witness, observer, I am my own example, I am, it's me that is the evidence that the system that I'm in, that's designed, is based on my own development and my own becoming and self-actualization and fulfilling of potential and making the most of who I am in the time that I have. Although you have oodles of time, as he says in Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter. I have oodles, I think it is oodles? Yeah, something like that, of time. So, people ask in my life, like, how is it that you are aware that God exists? Because you can't touch, see, smell, taste God. There's no evidence for it. I mean, isn't this a perfect design in the fact that you cannot see God, you cannot prove God does exist, and you cannot prove God doesn't exist? I mean, how brilliant of a design is that? So how do you justify it? And the only way that I can justify it is that I realize that it must be about potential. Because I realize in my own life that the most fulfilled and meaningful of my life is when I am living truthfully about who I am and self-actualizing and living in attitude and action of bringing all that is within me outwardly. And that has sufficed, that has made it meaningful for me. And that says to me, if it's designed that way, then it is based on true effort, true growth. It's based on love. It's like based on your becoming. That's what your life is about. When we are close to God, right, we don't really have a desire to do anything else, to really grow. When the child is the 2-year-old child has the mother and the father around and is being fed and is being looked after and all the needs are being met, the child perhaps doesn't feel like wanting to go away from the parents and play and discover or something like that. I mean, to a certain degree, because, well, why should it? But the child is born curious and imaginative and, and restless. Our restlessness, there's a restlessness inside of us, which is a very good and purposeful, it's a reason that we feel restless. I mean, people will look at that as anxiety, which I don't think it's always like that. I think it's restlessness. It's the restlessness to try and gain back with your source, with your inner source. You're uncomfortable. That's what I think depression can often be, and anxiety can possibly be, is symptoms that you are not going in the right direction. You're feeling depressed because you're feeling like things don't matter. You're feeling that your life has no meaning. It's a crisis of meaning. right? And so, what am I saying? So you feel that way, you feel disempowered, you feel miserable, and you feel angry, then you feel hurt, and you feel betrayed, right? And then you take that out on others as well. I also kind of wanted to get into the idea of bipolar, what I think bipolar might be, you know, because I know some of my viewers discuss that they have experience with bipolar. And okay, maybe I can just touch on it briefly, is that I think bipolar is generally when somebody, I don't know how I'm going off on this tangent, on this segueing here, but bipolar, I feel, is that somebody who gets inspired and excited very, not easily, but like because there's reason to be inspired about their ability, about life, about this adventure, you know, about the excitement of it, how enthused they are. They feel that connection. It's like, wow, I'm really feeling alive. I'm really feeling, empowered. But the problem is that there's another part of themselves which they generally spend most of their time in, which is very, very sort of inactive, right? Which is not really alive, or whatever it is, or is like, dormant. So they feel like a moment of, yes, I want to be able to go to the gym. I want to be able to write poetry. I want to be able to grow, do a garden. I want to learn to play an instrument. I want to learn to be a better lover. I want to learn to be more kind. I want to learn to be, to just whatever. I have all these ambitions for myself to do this, but practically they don't do any of it. Practically because they have a fear of even maybe trying to pick up the guitar, of maybe growing a garden, of maybe doing anything of growth, right? That they just sort of hinder themselves. They just kind of, like Marlene on the farm, my friend Marlene on the farm, she gets so excited. I'm going to go into town, I'm going to go to Israel, but she lives on a farm, isolated on top of a hill. She wants to go to Israel, but she hasn't been to the town, to Vicksburg town, in the last year. She sends other people because she's afraid to go into town, and because, whatever reason, she doesn't like to be around people, So all of a sudden she gets a bee in a bonnet, like, I used to be able to travel around the world, now I want to travel again. And I'm like, no, Marlene, you're not even going into town. You understand? You're not even visiting the farmers next door to you. You're isolating, you're a hermit, you're rejecting, you're throwing people out of your life, and now you're wanting to go live in a kibbutz. It's like you're not being realistic. You're wishful thinking, you're dreaming too big here, my lady. I mean, and I think she's about 55 or something like that. I'm not sure how old she is. Or she's in her 50s, whatever it is. But like the way that she thinks, it's like, and I've had people when I lived on the farm that came and said, I'm going to turn this whole farm into self-sustainability, or whatever it is. But yet they didn't even know how to grow seedlings. But they're going to grow it all. The whole thing is going to be self-sustaining. It's going to be, permaculturally designed, solar run, solar, wind turbine, whatever it is. I've studied the whole thing, and they get so excited about it. When I look and I say, man, you're not being practical, then they get so frustrated because they don't deal with the practical steps in their lives. They don't, take steps of action in their lives because they don't have the confidence to do it. They don't have the real desire to it. They're lazy. They're victimized, like when they want to try start something. So they're wishful thinking. So on the one hand, on one moment they feel highly inspired that I want to do all these things and get the ball rolling, and I feel excited about it and ambitious. And I think, Mary Jane has this ability to do it to people as well. Because I've seen people who just generally mope around, they do nothing with their life, but when they smoke, they're like, oh, I'm so infused with all these brilliant ideas and all these thoughts and all these insights and all this inspiration, man. And I got to share it, and I got to, pick up a video camera and start recording myself and put myself on YouTube and whatever it is. I want to start a blog. I want to start a vlog. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to get interviewed on London Real. I don't know, whatever it is. And yet, what do? They do absolutely nothing. And when they come down from being stoned or being high and being highly connected and highly conscious, it's like, okay, so what are you going to do now? You know, oh, I was inspired. I wanted to write music. I wanted to have poetry. I wanted to do, you know, whatever it is. And so, okay, now you come down from that high, and now what do you want to do? You know, it's like people with New Year's resolutions. You know, oh, New Year's Eve. It's a new year. I'm going to start New Year's resolution. I'm going to start going to gym. I've had a relaxed holiday. You know, I've been enjoying myself, and I've been overeating, and family time. I really feel great, and the year ahead is going to be great. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to be a better person. And then after, you know, the first month, you know, they've taken out a contract at the gym, a membership, and they haven't gone once. It's like, oh no, then this is the problem, and this is the problem, and this is the issue. And I'm tired, and rightly so. But again, not being realistic, inspired one moment to do so much, to accomplish, and, you know, and whatever it is, but at the same time, not being realistic. And then they get upset with themselves, they get frustrated with themselves, and they feel so stuck. And that's when the miserable, you know, the bipolar comes, and the sort of the downer comes, and it's like, oh shit, I'm never going to accomplish anything. It means nothing. I can't do anything right. It's just a bad joke. It's all meaninglessness. It's all, I just feel like I'm suffering. It's just painful. I'm suffering. It's horrible. It's horrific. And I'm just frustrated. And then they start getting angry. I've seen people who with bipolar, they get angry with you because they can't get their life in order, you know. And then when they come and they tell you, you know, when they are high, not just on Mary Jane or just in general, and they tell you like, Marlene, I want to go to Israel, please help me go to Israel. So, well, how? She asks me, because she doesn't even have a smartphone. I say, how can I even send you the documents? How are you going to print out? You can't do anything. And you can't even get to town. How do you think you're going to get to the airport in Johannesburg and then fly to Israel? How do you think you're going to do it? And then she gets upset with me. Come on, why can't you support me in my dreams or something like that? You know the people that come into your life and they tell you, this is what I'm going to do. And you're like, dude, wake the hell up. Wake up. And they're like, why are you going to be so negative? You know, I'm empowered, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, and here you come rain on my parade. And then when they don't fulfill what they're saying, you know, and they can't accomplish it, and then you come along and you say, how are you doing? Don't talk to me. You never supported me in my dreams and it's your fault. You know, something like that. And then it gets like, wow, gee whiz. You know, gee whiz. And that's what happens. I know this over and over again. I've met so many people like that. I know so many people like that. And or maybe they are trying, you know, so like they are whatever, but they're doing such a bang up job because they don't believe in themselves. You know, like, oh, I'm going to do permaculture. I'm going to turn the garden upside down. Like, I'm going to, you know, tear up all the grass. And, you know, husband says to their wife, and the wife says, oh my word, you know, you'll get excited for a day. You're going to tear up the lawn, you know, to try and put down whatever, you know, raised beds. And then, you know, all you're going to be left with is a torn up garden, you know, type of thing. There was a movie called The Glass House, Building the Glass House or something like that, with Woody Harrelson. It was very good, very heavy, about a father and a mother to these three children. And they're big dreamers, you know, but completely highly irresponsible. That was a great movie. I must watch that movie again. Woody Harrelson, I think it's called The Glass House or something like that. And he makes a promise to his daughters, you know, wants to live self-sustainably, and he wants to build a glass house or something like that. And he never manages to do anything because he's a drunk. You know, so the husband who says to the wife, I'm going to go and turn the garden into permaculture, and then maybe he starts tearing up the garden, but he's not thinking things correctly, doesn't weigh it out, you know, he doesn't plan it properly, he just gets so excited, you know, he just starts going gung-ho over it and spending so much money on seedlings, and he's not thinking like, hold on a minute, we're going into winter here, but you're buying, you know, zucchinis, and they're not going to last, honey. You got to do your research, go slow, be responsible, go with integrity, whatever it is. I'm going to support you, but just, you know, hold on a minute. One thing at a time here, one thing at a time. No, the husband says, you don't support me, you know, you don't support me, I know what I'm doing. And then when it fails, and the husband, like, you know, again, 3 weeks later, the garden's all hacked up, and things are just lying all over the show, and, you know, and it's a mess, and the compost is stinking. Tries to make a compost bin, and it's stinking, and whatever it is, and the wife's like, oh, you see? And he's like, don't tell me, I don't need to hear it from you, or something like that. And then he's severely depressed, so he goes and he sits in front of the television, and he starts to drink himself, silly because it's like, well, I can't accomplish anything. And you know what? You're right. You got a husband who's useless. He can't achieve anything that he puts his mind to. Gets into a deep funk, a deep depression, and whatever it is. But then, a few months later, or weeks later, or even whatever days later, he watches something on about, building a tree house. Oh, that's it. I'm going to build a tree house, and the kids were going to have so much fun. It's like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. And so that's what happens, is that the people come along and they want you to support them, and you realize, no. You're not right. You're not okay. You're not okay. Anyway, so coming back, what I'm saying is that we have faith that we put into this system, into this dimension, into this incarnation. Right? It's very hard, this. It's very, very hard. That we're not just slaves, Neo, that we're just not here as he says in The Devil's Advocate, Al Pacino, who plays the devil, and says God is an absentee landlord. He tells you to taste but don't swallow, touch, whatever. He says, well, and he's a trickster. He just watches you, he puts these rules in opposition, he tells you don't do this, whatever it is, and he watches you bouncing around, like a clown, don't know what to do, don't know where to go, how did I get here, it's meaningless, whatever it is, and then he possibly, it doesn't say this, but wipes your memory again, and then you start off again, and it's like you go through it again, and then, it's just for his entertainment. It's just for God's entertainment. Amusement. It's just for God's amusement. So you think, oh my word, could that be the case? Could that be the case? And then then you start getting an existential, anxiety and depression. It's like, because if this is not based in love, then what the F is it? Is it just torment? And so that's what a depression is at the same time. Or like a nihilism, or like there is no reason to it. It's just blindly designed. There's no intelligent design behind it. It's all random, which is the craziest far out kind of, I don't understand it, craziest far out reason or something like that, or whatever. Anyway, so we put here to long to connect, because we are afraid. I mean, kind of what I'm saying is that the child that is always homeschooled and the parents sort of, how would I say it, don't allow the child to grow, or don't inspire the child to leave the house, like God said to Abraham, leave your house, leave your residence, leave your place of comfort, and go and discover yourself away from the tribe in that way. And for ourselves, it's like, you've got to move away from God to find out who you are, because in God, next to God's radiance, how do you know who you are? You need to grow thyself. You need to figure out who you are and be inspired to, in a world of suffering, in order to make it as meaningful as possible. You see, so that's why there is this idea of suffering. Is that, and meaninglessness in that way, so we can make as much meaning from it as we possibly can. We are responsible for making the meaning out of it, right? We are responsible, like, again, full Connors, in bettering ourselves every day. And that's what my evidence is, that God exists and God is love. Because the more that I appreciate myself, the more I'm devoted to myself, the more I grow, I believe in myself, I have faith in myself. The more I love myself, the more I grow, and the more satisfaction I feel, the more fulfillment I feel, and the more joy I feel. Not all the time. There are things in my life that I'm absolutely miserable about, right? Like my isolation, and the fact that I don't really have any people to talk to in my life. I mean, it's horrific. It's been like that my whole life, or most of it. And so what can I say? Anyway, so that's it. So we're here to suffer, but make meaning out of it. Not completely suffer, but make the most out of it, and have faith that by us, our own becoming, our own development, right, that it's not just in heaven that we reap what we've sown, but it's even now. It's even now in the people's, in the lives that you touch, right? By being who you truly are, right? By being who you truly are, the difference that you make in people's lives. The beacon of light that you are in the time of such absolute darkness, that opportunity that you can be, a beacon of light, And so that's, a very brief explanation, or for myself, idea that's what I think about, of why we are put in this really uncomfortable, discomforting, hellish world. Like, why would God ever do that? In a way, it is tough love. It's like, look, you got to grow, and you're not going to grow if you're not uncomfortable. You're not going to appreciate if you don't know what you're missing a lot of the time. You don't have the maturity, like if you've got water to drink every day, and then all of a sudden your water supply is cut off, and then you go days without water, finally you get water, and you drink it, and it's like, oh my word, I'm so appreciative of this. And then maybe not only that, but in general, you'll respect how much water you do have, and you will understand that it's not always maybe available, and then we've got to treat water with sacredness. You don't just waste water. You've got to bless the water that you're drinking, or something like that. So that's what I'm saying in that way, is that, when we're with God, we just take it for granted. So we're just basking in this radiance all the time. But I don't know if we can really deeply appreciate it unless we've had the experience of going without it, and then learning our own radiance and our own brilliance, and then coming back to the Father and being like, yes, I shine with you. We shine together, and I can appreciate your shine of what your endeavors are, of what your intentions are for humanity, for humankind, your love for, the children and the entities, or everything around the whole world that you wanted. Your desire is for each individual, each whatever it might be, to shine the best that they can. It's like, wow, you can, because that's growth, that's understanding, that's like evolution of the soul, and you can be like, wow, that's maturity. And it's like, I can see that, I can understand that, I can embrace that, All right, folks, I'll chat soon. Take care.